You're not in love. You're emotionally attached. And those two things are not the same. But your brain doesn't like to admit that. Because attachment feels intense. It feels urgent. It feels addictive. Love feels calm. Attachment feels anxious. Love feels safe. Attachment feels like withdrawal. And that's where most people get confused. You think you miss them, but what you really miss is how they made you feel. Let's break this down psychologically. Love is built on mutual growth, respect, and emotional stability. Attachment is built on fear. Fear of losing, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. Attachment activates your nervous system. That's why your heart races when they text. That's why your stomach drops when they ignore you. That's why you overthink small changes. It's not romance. It's anxiety. Your brain is wired for bonding. When you connect deeply with someone, your brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. Dopamine makes them feel rewarding. Oxytocin makes you feel bonded. Serotonin stabilizes mood. But when the connection becomes inconsistent, your brain shifts into survival mode. Now dopamine spikes unpredictably. Now you crave the highs. Now you chase validation. This is not love. This is reinforcement psychology. Intermittent reinforcement is one of the strongest psychological conditioning tools. When someone gives you attention sometimes and withdraws at other times, you become addicted to the uncertainty. It's the same mechanism that keeps people hooked on gambling. You don't chase stability. You chase the possibility of reward. And your brain mistakes intensity for importance. Healthy love does not feel like chaos. It does not require constant reassurance. It does not make you question your worth. Attachment does. Attachment says, "What if I never find someone else?" Love says, "If it's meant to stay, it will." Attachment says, "I need them." Love says, "I choose them." There's power in that difference. When you're emotionally attached, you don't love the person as they are. You love the role they play in regulating your emotions. They become your distraction, your validation source, your comfort system. So when they leave, it feels like you lost oxygen. But what you lost wasn't love. You lost your emotional crutch. That's painful, but it's also revealing. Ask yourself this: if they stopped giving you attention completely, would you still feel the same intensity? Or is the intensity fueled by scarcity? Scarcity increases perceived value. When something becomes limited, your brain assigns it more importance. That's psychology. And that's why people struggle to move on. Not because they're deeply in love, but because their brain is stuck in a reward cycle. Love grows in clarity. Attachment grows in confusion. Love feels secure even in silence. Attachment panics in silence. And here's the hardest truth. If someone truly felt safe to lose, you wouldn't feel desperate to keep them. Real love allows space. Attachment fears space. You're not weak for feeling attached. Your brain is doing what it evolved to do. It tries to protect you from loneliness. But protection and growth are not the same thing. Sometimes your brain protects patterns that hurt you. Healing begins when you separate intensity from compatibility. Just because it felt strong doesn't mean it was healthy. Just because it was hard to leave doesn't mean it was right to stay. You don't miss them. You miss the version of yourself that felt chosen. You miss the fantasy of what it could have been. You miss the emotional stimulation. But stimulation is not stability. Chaos is not chemistry. And attachment is not love. Love is peaceful. Love is steady. Love does not feel like walking on emotional eggshells. If you feel anxious more than secure, if you feel confused more than clear, if you feel addicted more than connected, it's attachment. And attachment can be healed, but it requires awareness. You have to stop romanticizing what hurt you. You have to stop confusing emotional highs with emotional health. And most importantly, you have to build emotional security within yourself. Because when you are secure, you don't chase. You don't beg. You don't overanalyze. You observe. You decide. You walk away when something destabilizes you. Attachment says, don't lose them. Self-respect says, don't lose yourself. And when you finally choose yourself, something powerful happens. The intensity fades. The anxiety quiets. The craving weakens. Not because they changed, but because you did. You stopped feeding the attachment. And here's the final truth. You don't need to move on from love. You need to detach from emotional dependency. Real love will never require you to abandon your peace. So next time you feel like you can't let someone go, ask yourself, is this love? Or is this attachment? Because once you understand the difference, you free yourself.